it's not really a discussion we really have in our locker room. I think it's for leagues and the governing bodies to work with their athletes to find solutions, but our focus is on basketball, and that's what we talk about and how we can get wins, and obviously we didn't do that tonight, so need to find an area to improve in that way.
Do you have any, reaction to the...
I just answered for you.
I'm supposed to believe that Caitlin Clark is a coward over this? I'm supposed to believe Caitlin Clark betrayed Sophie Cunningham over this? I'll be honest with you, I am surprised by some of the reactions I am seeing from the Caitlin Clark fan club. I'm surprised by some of the reactions I am seeing from people who believe that Caitlin Clark walks on water. How dare my dream woman refuse to stand up for women's rights? How dare my future wife betray her bestie Sophie? Caitlin Clark is being scared into silence. She is afraid to stand up to the woke players in the WNBA. I'm struggling to understand how Caitlin Clark betrayed Sophie Cunningham by not answering this question. I'm struggling to understand how Caitlin Clark betrayed some quote-unquote movement. What movement? Before Sophie Cunningham made an innocent comment in an interview with ESPN, a comment that was then magnified and completely over-exaggerated by the wanker spankers in the mainstream media, before that, there was no movement. The fight was over. We won. No one was talking about transgender involvement in sports anymore because, for the most part, it ceased to exist. I know this might be hard for some to believe, but Caitlin Clark is a basketball player. She is not, and probably never will be, an activist. Caitlin Clark has stated on multiple occasions that she does not want to be involved in politics, social issues. All she wants to do is play basketball. Uncle KC, what about her comments on her white privilege? What about them? I'm supposed to be upset over comments that Caitlin Clark made 2 years ago? Was it dumb for Caitlin Clark to acknowledge her mythical white privilege? Yes. Does it have anything to do with her non-response to men potentially invading the WNBA at yesterday's press conference? No. You know who else was accused of being a coward because they didn't want to be infected with the disease of politics? Michael Jordan. The dorks in the mainstream media back then, they accused Michael Jordan of being afraid, but normal people celebrated him for it. So why are we reacting differently with Caitlin Clark? You know who should be more like Caitlin Clark? You know who should avoid political questions instead of giving people another reason not to watch their substandard product? The rest of the WNBA. Unfortunately, though, the unknowns in the WNBA, they just can't help themselves. But before we get to that, let's get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Fluffernoggin. I am not a big snacker. Uncle KC does not eat a lot of junk food, but there are times during the week when I'm too busy to stop and grab lunch, and I need something quick and easy, but also filling enough to get me to dinner. One thing I have found that fills me up, beef jerky. Problem is, a lot of beef jerky tastes like you're biting into a flat tire. Good news is, I no longer have that problem because I started buying gourmet beef jerky from Fluffernoggin. Now you're probably wondering, what the hell is a Fluffernoggin? Fluffernoggin is gourmet beef jerky that is 100% made right here in America. You don't have to worry about consuming foreign cows because all these cows are homegrown. Each recipe from Fluffernoggin is handcrafted with the perfect amount of seasoning. First beef jerky I've ever tasted that literally melts in your mouth. Fluffernoggin comes in a variety of flavors ranging from mango habanero, Korean barbecue. They even have a flavoring of craft beer. Or, if you're like me, you'll stick with the original style flavoring. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL30, BTL30. Receive 30% off your first purchase with Fluffernoggin. Last night, the Toronto Pimples were in the City of Rainbows to play the Golden State Vikings. Uncle KC, who won this exciting contest between these elite athletes? Who cares? The box score looks like the side of a milk carton. I see a bunch of faces, I see a lot of names, and I don't recognize any of them. Once again, no one is talking about the actual game. The focus is on what happened after the game. Natale Nakase, she is the head coach of the Golden State Vikings. Before becoming the head coach of the Vikings, Natale was the coach of a team in something called the B League. In her one and only season in the B League, Natale went 12-29. I guess Natale was so bad at her job that she was instantly demoted to the WNBA. Last night, Natale was speaking to the media after her make-believe basketball game. Now, keep in mind, this is a press conference about pretend basketball. Appropriate questions would be, how did you develop Kia Stokes into an efficient three-point airballer? How proud were you when Caitlin Chin scored 2 points in 20 minutes? Would you agree that the best pretender on your team is Kayla Thornton?
And who?
These would be appropriate questions to ask a head coach of a make-believe basketball team. What did the credentialed members of the media, which, by the way, the WNBA is extremely selective as to who gets their press credentials. When Outkick asks questions about the potential influx of beards in the WNBA, the press conference is immediately shut down. But when proud members of Club Doofus ask the head coach of the Golden State Vikings about a comment that a role player on another team made 2-3 weeks ago, Natale Nakase is all too eager to answer their question. Watch it for yourself.
Sophie Cunningham and the protests for her and protests against her. And do you think that's good for the league? Does it detract from the basketball?
Sports is about belonging. It's about inclusivity. It's about allowing everyone to be their authentic self. You know, I'm big on that just because I have been criticized for my height, for my ethnicity. I've been in those "you shouldn't belong here" many times. And for me, I don't want that space, especially Golden State, to ever feel like that. I'm all about women, little girls deserving to play, and that includes trans women. So I'm all about inclusivity.
I believe in inclusivity. I can relate to the pain, the struggle that transgender athletes are going through. I too was excluded because of my height. Disney World won't allow me to ride on the roller coasters because I don't meet the minimum height requirements. I feel so excluded. According to Natale Nakase, who played 4 years of basketball at UCLA, she has been criticized throughout her life and potentially excluded from playing basketball because of her height. Now, for those wondering, Natale is 5'2". I bet you were excluded. I bet you were picked last on the playground when playing basketball. Last I checked, Basketball is one of the only sports where being unusually tall is a distinct advantage and being unusually short is a severe disadvantage. Hey, Natalie, imagine how excluded you would have been if men were allowed to play on your team at UCLA. It would no longer be your team because you would not be on it. Caitlin Clark is being accused of being a coward because she does not want to get involved in this ongoing debate. But the real coward is Natale Nakase. The real coward is Cheryl Reeve. The only one with real courage in the WNBA is Sophie Cunningham. You see, it's easy to support transgender athletes. It's easy to support the T and LGBT when you're surrounded by players and coaches who celebrate Christmas in the month of June. It takes real courage to be Sophie Cunningham and be the only one who is against it. You know, earlier this morning, Awful Announcing published an article asking, who is going to save the WNBA? The premise of the article was the political controversy potentially damaging the league. Yes, it keeps the WNBA in the headlines. Yes, it is a constant source of publicity, but it's also a constant source of division. And as a sports league, even a pretend basketball league like the WNBA, division is no bueno. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is not going to lead the WNBA out of this. She doesn't want anything to do with it. Caitlin Clark wants to play basketball and be left the hell alone. The answer is obvious as to who should step in and lead the WNBA. Problem is, she's incapable of doing so because Kathy Engelbert is incapable of being a leader. Like I've told you guys before, you can overcome a substandard product. Take the WWE, for instance. Right now, grown men who should have stopped watching the WWE 30 years ago, they are constantly complaining about the product. SummerSlam was a scam. I can't believe they didn't put the make-believe championship belt on Spike Rollins. They also had MC Punk defeat Bobby Rhodes. It's so unfair. Grown men are bitching about creative. They're complaining about storylines. They're claiming that the WWE has a deep, talented roster, but the company is unable to create stars. And in their defense, when you have major star power, mainstream stars in WWE, the product is elevated. It's more interesting. Now, the WNBA, they have star power. The WNBA has a couple of players with the ability to capture the attention of a mainstream audience. They also have a couple of players with the potential to become stars. The league just has no idea what the hell to do with them. They don't have any idea how to maximize their own talent. Even with the on-court product being substandard, the WNBA could still be somewhat appealing, especially when you consider the fact that they have no competition in July and August, but they continue focusing on all the wrong things, advocating for men to invade their toxic turd of a league. They are desperate to make Paige Beckers a major star. In the mainstream, they continue to tell Paige to get off my TV. Seems like every player and every coach with a functional voice is voicing their unwanted opinion on a comment that was made by a role player weeks ago. Sophie Cunningham is a role player. She's not even a starter. Yet for some reason, the entire league is acting like Sophie is a threat to democracy. This dump of a league continues to focus on everything but pretend basketball. Then they blame us, creators here on YouTube. They claim we are the reason no one talks about their on-court product, when all we're doing is reacting to the manufactured drama they're creating. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.